Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so my phone should be dying by the time this video ends. Only got like 23%. And so the thought is to try to create as much content as possible and then put it on the charger and then listen to that content and let the phone charge. Because otherwise, I'm just sitting here bored. So as a creative, I can create content on the fly. That's something I'm going to do. So as usual, talking basketball. Um, So I've seen a picture. I saw a picture of Anthony Davis. Looked like he was working out with a trainer. They were standing in front of a big sand mountain. Looked like it was very difficult to run. Uh, I zeroed in on his legs. Pause. Right. I zeroed in on the man's legs because I wanted. That is the area of emphasis that I want to see him pay attention to. Now, somebody in the comment section said they thought he should focus on yoga because he has a lot of soft tissue injuries and things of that nature. I don't know a whole lot about that, but I figured I'd throw that into this video and just let that be something that you guys run with. But if there's something to that, maybe that's the seed that needs to be planted. But um, I like what I saw there. What it looked like is AD is putting in the emphasis on giving himself lower body strengthening, and that's what I need to see. Last year, he looked like he had grandmama legs. I'm just gonna say it. He looked like he had been sitting at the table for a long time, eating good with grandmama, and she had taken care of that bottom half, in a way that wasn't good for him. So when you have lower injuries and things of that nature, it's kind of hard to get in shape. But I am certain that he's doing things that satisfy my desire to see him reinvent his lower half, and that's basically what I'm talking about. His upper half ain't a problem. He's always had broad shoulders. His length is going to help him no matter what. But as he ages, he wants to get healthier, of course. And I think the best way to do that, to reinvent himself in two ways. One, his lower body is specifically. And the second way is just, I think, getting a little slimmer. Getting slimmer again. The Anthony Davis that he was in this league when he first was drafted was a real skinny kid. And the kid that was at Kentucky, really, really thin. I don't want him to go really, really thin again, but I do think that him being slower isn't going to be helpful for him as maybe it would have projected to be if these young kids like Holmgren and all these different lengthy dudes weren't now coming in with a little more speed to them. Guys got like Mobley and Duran. They move side to side really, really fast. Mark Williams runs the floor fast. These big dudes, it's not as uncommon to find guys like that now who can do a little more. So if Anthony Davis wants to age as well as he needs to and keep that value up as these guys continue to come into the league, I think the key for him is to get his speed back, because that's where he really has lacked since he put on a Laker uniform. He's gotten significantly slower. And I think the things that he's working on, I think, will help with that. He gets his speed back. He shaves off some of that unnecessary fat around the hips. I think he will be a rather difficult player to beat, because that's really it. The skills after that just take over. Then it's just about natural God-given talent, which we all know he has, but his conditioning hasn't allowed him to be his best. And the injuries and stuff like that. And while injuries are hard to overcome and you get frustrated over time, I think if you continue on this regimen of taking care of yourself, the injuries come around less and less and less and less. More stretching and all that good stuff, they come around less. So, yeah, I like what I'm seeing from AD so long as he keeps this mentality up and adapt to this type of thing every offseason. Every offseason, be as intent as he is right now. And as he gets older, he will age gracefully and probably will be able to determine his own future in this league until he retires. That's ultimately what you want. You want to be like Tim Duncan and last until you decide you want out. And it's not too late to establish that with the Lakers for Anthony Davis. It's not too late. At 28 years old, it's very, very possible for him to reinvent his body and then reestablish himself as the guy that the Lakers ultimately want to invest in. You know what I mean? I can totally see certain scenarios where certain individuals will find themselves in an ability to take themselves and make themselves that from where Anthony is right now. Is he going to be that person? Can he be that person? Only he knows. But there are people out there who, if given his opportunity, will do it. So I want to see him do it. So that's the first thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say has nothing to do with Anthony Davis, of course, but I'm starting to go back and do some homework on some of these draft picks that were picked up. And I've been very impressed with what I've seen. As I said, Jalen Duren's name already. I wanted to get more familiar with him. Really intrigued by what's going on in Detroit and how much size they have and stuff like that, as I've been talking about. And the homework that I did on the kid didn't really shock me on anything I saw. I know he's a passer, but he does turn the ball over a lot as a passer, and that's not a good thing for a big man. So the one thing I want to see him do as he comes into that situation in Detroit is with the passes that he's given, don't try to overdo it. You're a center and you can pass, but don't try to be Jokic out the gate. Just make life easy and simple for yourself and let that part of your game come as it goes along. But I really like what they have there. They have plenty of depth at that position, so it's going to be a situation where he doesn't have to jump out the gate and be who they want him to be 3-4 years from now. But I'm intrigued, man. I'm intrigued by his ability to move side to side, as I said. His ability to get in a chair. We talk about centers like Rudy Gobert and various centers that just aren't going to be able to stay on the floor once three-point shots are raining out because they're deficient in guarding the perimeter. Jalen Duren is definitely not someone you got to worry about in that regard. Not at all. He moves. He guards like a guard. He can sit down like a lot of these bigs that are coming into the league. He can sit down and he can guard you. Guys that were a whole foot shorter than him, he's tracking them left and right, back and forth. They dancing, he's dancing. I'm like, oh no, this is different. He's different. He's like Scotty Barnes. He's like Evan Mobley in that way. And that's his superpower. Above all else, Jalen Duren's speed and lateral quickness, I think, is ultimately and length, of course, is what he has going for himself. He projects to be somebody who's going to be able to shoot eventually, but he can't do that yet. But he has a little spot-up jump shot that he likes to take here and there that I think will come around. And in that system with Detroit and what they have out there, I think they're going to be in a much better position to make some of those passes that he makes that don't necessarily turn into possessions. I think they're going to be able to turn those possessions into more, successful situations for him, assists basically, because from what I understand, what he had going on in Memphis wasn't very good in terms of the guards that he had down there. So maybe a few chances he took maybe didn't work because of that. Now those passes go to guys like Jalen Ivey, and Cade Cunningham, and of course Sadiq Bey. And I think that stuff will probably turn out a lot more successful. So that's one player I'm paying attention to. Another guy I'm trying to figure out about is Keegan Murray. And the one thing I learned about Keegan Murray is he's gotten significantly better really, really fast. And that's a interesting trait. It's something that stands out about players who are naturally lengthy and have a body type. But if you can learn fast and then improve quickly in that process, it speaks to your ability to continue that trajectory up and up and up as you go through the professional ranks. So I think Keegan Murray, sky's the absolute limit. As I've been talking about players who are not overly athletic, and how I see that is something that I like these days, guys who are fundamentally gifted but not necessarily athletic. I like that trait to a degree because I think it translates to them aging well. It translates to them being able to be basketball players if for some reason they have a couple injuries here and there. Those fundamentals will carry them so that they can be professionals no matter what. I think that trait has been magnified by Russell Westbrook's struggles, as I mentioned in the video I made today earlier. It's just something I look for now. I'm more so interested in the guys that I think can play in the NBA if for some reason they stop being able to jump or stop being able to leap and all that stuff. I want to know a guy is good enough mentally to stay professional in these ranks. So that's something I see in Keegan Murray. He has that ability. He's not athletic, but he's long. He plays defense, and he's getting faster by the second as he gets stronger. So in the videos that I was watching, and they were breaking down his game and everything, the critique was that he was slower. Oh, he doesn't make moves as fast. Oh, he doesn't attack as quick. but what I saw in the summer league shows the improvement. So clearly he's there, and I think the sky's the limit. And then judging by what I see in Sacramento, they got plenty of weapons around him. So this Sacramento Kings team, I think, is going to be more like the glory days of cowbells once this team fully develops. Now that Keegan Murray's in place, De'Aaron Fox on for a couple extra years with a good running mate in Davion Mitchell, who's going to play both sides of the floor as well. Harrison Barnes still in place now. He's going to be playing on a team that looks like it could make the playoffs again. So he obviously is someone I expect to flourish in winning situations and hasn't been in one in a very long time. So, and then of course, Domantas Sabonis, even though I hated how they acquired him, if you just ignore that, you love the player. And I never, ever, ever lost sight of that. He is a fantastic starting center who can make all-star games going forward here and there, I believe. He's already made one or two already, and I think he may have one or two more left in his career, depending on the circumstances. But ultimately, he's going to give you that type of production either way, and I really like him because he's going to also facilitate. He's going to make life easier for Keegan Murray. He's going to be able to create plays for Keegan Murray and take pressure off of him and things of that nature. So given the fact that he doesn't play the perimeter himself, the fact that Keegan can shoot it, and some of these other guys like Malik Monk, obviously fantastic knockdown. So I like Sacramento, man. I'm not going to even sit up here and pretend like I look at them as I did. You know, I told you guys last year the Cleveland Cavaliers were not the same Cleveland Cavaliers. I was right about that. And I'm telling you guys this year, the Sacramento Kings are last year's they're the new Cavaliers. They're not what they were. But the thing about that is there's about 3 or 4 Cavaliers teams. It ain't the only one. As we've already mentioned, Detroit, I think, could be that. And another guy, I'll just segue into OKC because they are ridiculously talented. And that's something nobody really understands yet. And I'm still learning about some of the talent that they've picked up because I haven't done homework on all of those guys just yet. But that's the thing. Having not done homework on all the guys, I already am super, super intrigued by what they have. Josh Giddey, as you guys know, is one of my favorite point guards this year. I cringe listening to myself talk about him last year before actually doing homework on him. But now that I know his game, he's one of my favorite players. Dude plays with so much swagger. He's a passer. And he just plays smart, man. Lonzo Ball style type stuff, man. But he's huge. And he's a part of the game. You know, certain players are players and other guys are a byproduct of the game itself. And no matter where they are, they can get hockey assists or just make plays and do different things that are just ultimately make the game more beautiful to watch. And Josh Giddey is a great version of that. And the fact that he's so young just makes him somebody that you definitely believe can continue to get better. And then you look at Jalen Williams with the A, because there's a Jalen with the I and a Jalen with the A. The one I did the video on is the one with the A, I believe. A-E-N-A, something, I don't know. But the one without the I, that dude is a passer as well. A very, very, very gifted facilitator who has a big body, who can do a lot of different things, put the ball on the floor. But his superpower, so to speak, is his playmaking. So when you have him and Giddey on the floor, now you're talking about Holmgren getting easy buckets. Now you're talking about SGA getting easy buckets. Now you're talking about Man getting easy buckets. Now you're talking about Ousmane Dieng getting easy buckets. It goes on forever with this team. They got Poco, never say his name correctly, but I've already seen what he and Holmgren can do down there with their length in the summer league on the same floor at the same time. It was what I was dreaming about before the draft. This is why I was lobbying for them to take to take Holmgren, and we see it. You have that type of length with those 2 7'1" guys that play the wing. It's incredible length to try to overcome when you consider what they got down there. And like I said, there's players I haven't even done homework on. Wiggins, I don't really know his game that well, but I know he broke out last year for that team. Man, as I said, is down there. And they still got so much talent, man. I can't even tell you of some of the names that they got down there. They had to get rid of Roby. He went off to San Antonio. But that, is it's just a byproduct of all the talent they have. So when I look at Chet Holmgren and I try to assess where he lands in terms of where I see him, I've done a little homework on Paolo Banchero, and I respect what he is. I still think Holmgren is the guy I probably would have took number 1 for my circumstance, because I don't think his length is something you could pass up on, and his ball handling ability at 7'1", It's just not normal at all. It's not normal. He and for me, I don't worry about him being thin because I was raised on Pau Gasol. I was raised to respect that Kobe was a skinny player to start. Kevin Durant was a skinny player to start. You know what I mean? So it's not, Brandon Ingram. I was a believer early on him, and they said he was too skinny. Kevin Garnett was one of my favorite players. They said he was too skinny. So I tend to just like the skinny player anyway. You know what I mean? I just tend to think that it translates well to basketball. Being thin doesn't necessarily translate in other areas, but basketball, yeah, it's not a bad thing. So long as you're long and are fast enough to keep up with others, even if you're getting pushed around, your length is going to help. And so that's what I see with Chet Holmgren. Yeah, guys are able to back him down and push him around and all this good stuff. But guess what? At the point of the apex of the ball, yeah, it's going the other way. He's swatting everything. It doesn't matter if you back him all the way down. It's whether or not you can shoot over. No, you can't. And that's the point. So that's one of those situations where he's going to have an advantage because of this physicality that he's going to give up. It's going to allow him to draw offensive fouls left and right. You're going to try to bully him, push him around, and he's going to be able to flop right off you. So those are the type of things that I think are going to work in Holmgren's favor. And then on the offensive end, he steps right into three-point shots off the dribble at 7-1. I mean, that's just not – you can't teach that. He's not supposed to be able to do that. You know what I mean? And the speed in which he plays – he has a chance to be ridiculously special, honestly, ridiculously special, and so when you talk about unicorns and stuff like that, it's like he's the next level of unicorn. You're happy to see those guys shoot threes. You're happy to see them be able to put it on the floor. This guy can do weaves with the ball. Like he could dribble like a guard to a degree. It's just not fair, man. It's not fair. When we talk about Victor Wembanyama and how excited we are about him, Chet Holmgren is just a little bit smaller and does pretty much the same thing. So you got to understand that Chet could have a similar dynamic and someday could dominate this league himself. So that's what I'm saying about Anthony Davis. Like, you look at a guy like Chet and you look over, you see the next guy. Then you look over, see the next guy. It's like, these guys keep coming, man. All these super long players, Mark Williams, they keep coming. And since we want to segue into Mark Williams in Charlotte, I'm super excited about him. Because here you have another center who's supposed to be a traditional center, that's supposed to be a fossil or what have you. But when you do homework on him, you realize his superpower is the fact that he can jog all day long. You got a 7'2" guy who could probably run a marathon right now. So having him run the floor ain't a problem. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that he runs very fast. It's just that he has the endurance to keep doing it over and over and over again. So a lot of these guys are going to have to keep up with him. A guy like Nikola Jokic ain't going to want to run with this dude. A guy like Joel Embiid, he ain't going to want to run with this dude because he's going to be physical. He's going to push you around with his 7'2" frames, 8-foot wingspan, something ridiculous that Mark has. He's the biggest person in the draft this year. But he runs. He just runs. And it's like, God, man. Like, will you slow down or slow some sign of being a stiff or something? You can't just keep catching lobs and then running the other way faster than the guards do. And that's exactly what Mark Williams is going to do. He's going to run the floor better than anybody his size probably has in a long time. And so, when you think about that, I think about guys like Roy Hibbert. You know what I mean? That's who he kind of reminds me of. But the good Roy Hibbert, not the Laker Roy Hibbert, but the one who made the playoffs twice in a row. Like, that's who he reminds me of, but faster. Just faster. You know what I mean? And so I like the idea of having such a big target for a guy like LaMelo, who's already a very, very gifted passer. He's just going to make life really easy for LaMelo, man. Really easy. And with Miles Bridges obviously no longer being a part of the organization, there's going to be more targets. More targets for that guy. More targets than what would have been projected before. More opportunities for their entire team of young players. So I think Charlotte's going to have a losing season. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm looking forward to their season, but what I can say is LaMelo Ball has a huge target, and that's something that he hasn't played with yet. And I think with him being as gifted of a player as he is, he's going to have a lot of easy possessions be created for Mark Williams' presence. And if I'm a betting man, I'd say it ain't going to be long before he and Mark Williams have a nice synergy going that could probably translate to some victories. So I think that's a serious situation there. And I look at some of the other players that got too, like Bonchamp. His name has just escaped me. And I say it all the time too, but I think it's Beauchamp or something of that nature. But the young guard that they just picked up can jump out the gym, really, really talented. I think more opportunities will be there for him this year without Bridges being there. Kai Jones is somebody who's made a lot of plays in these summer league, drafted last year. Another guy with supreme length. Another guy who can catch lobs all day long. When you talk about what Charlotte has, those two players, Williams and Jones, you're going to know who they are soon enough. You're going to know who they are soon enough. LaMelo Ball is going to make sure you know who they are very soon. So that's just something I'm looking at. You know, they're not a good team, but if they tank and they get another good lottery pick, look out. And nobody's looking at them as a team that could be bad enough to get Victor. But I definitely think they're going to be a lottery team. I do think that. So don't rule them out for getting lucky. Do not rule them out. Who else am I paying attention to, man? Those are the players I did a little homework on, man. I can't wait to get to Jaden Ivey again. I want to, again, zero in on that Detroit team. I just think they're so intriguing to me. As I said, Ousmane Deng did no homework on him. The other Jalen Williams don't know his game yet. So OKC is interesting to me. A situation that's really interesting also is just KPJ. We've talked about that and how the Houston Rockets may want to move on from him. I just don't think that's a good idea, man. I just don't think that. I don't know if there's some behavioral issues or something, or maybe they think he's not going to resign. I just don't see any reason to let go of him. I look at him as a part of that wolf pack of the young Rockets team that I think can go as far as anywhere. You know, they can go as far as anybody at this point. I think for their system, even though they were targeting Banchero, I think Smith is better for their system because he's a defensive player. And that's what they've been lacking. That's the big question mark that you have about the Houston Rockets is outside of of the center that they have in place, who gets a lot of steals all the time, Alperen Sengun. Do they really have the defenders down there? You know what I mean? And now that's been answered. Now they got Jalen Smith and also the lottery pick last year that they had, the defensive big that they drafted as well. I don't remember his name, but he's in place as well. So they got some defensive talent. Terry Eason is now in place. I don't know what the heck they're going to do with such a surplus now that you got Terry Eason looking like he's going to be a problem. Double machine. It's like you already got Deshaun Tate. You already got Josh Christopher. Like, I look at the Houston Rockets and I say, okay, who of these guys are you going to be able to pay? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're choosing to move on from KPJ, it seems. But I guess that is the circumstance now. It's like you are at a surplus at this point. As I look at certain teams, I say, okay, some of y'all got the next superstar youngster, but as we've mentioned before, some of you guys don't. Maybe you should kick the tires on Kevin Durant. Maybe. I know it would throw the timeline off for the Houston Rockets, but you know what I mean? You have the ability to make a trade like that and not deplete yourself of more assets to get better. You can make a move and be good enough, to compete for a championship within 2 years, in my opinion, with the assets that they have. And what comes to mind for me is when you think about who it is you're not going to be able to pay and the path that's going to take place to you losing those players, whether it be letting them walk or trading them for scraps on the dollar. You will just look back and remember that you had an opportunity to trade for Kevin Durant or Donovan Mitchell or what have you. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's okay to give up on your youngsters, as I've mentioned before. Even though I'm an advocate for keeping you, at the end of the day, not everybody's going to be a perennial all-star, even though they look great out the gate. So if you mortgage a few of them, you're not going to live to regret it. That part I'm certain of. But it just has to be for the right thing, obviously. And maybe not in this market. But, yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking. This is the content I wanted to create. Just rapid fire off a little more basketball here. What really kind of reignited it for me was drafting my NBA basketball teams yesterday, my fantasy basketball teams, rather. And I went heavy on the Holmgren, man. Heavy on Mobley. I just think it's a real easy thing when you have guys that can shoot the ball and have length. That's what I did. A lot of rookies, as I always do. I usually go heavy on the rookies. Ben Mathurin is on there a lot because his ADP is non-existent. I got a lot of Jabari Smith. Made sure I got a lot of Jabari Smith because his ADP is underappreciated. I got Banchero a lot. Got Jaden Ivey a lot. You know, those are the rookies I tried to zero in on. Keegan Murray, got him a lot as well, and Duran as well. So those are a couple guys I'm paying attention to. I'm sure there'll be more to pick up, but I just think that out the gate you're going to see a lot of rookies that are in very good situations to have breakout seasons. You know, rookie seasons, particularly Matherin in Indiana. I just think there's a lot of opportunities for him to break out and just shoot the ball all over the place. You know, with Tyrese Halliburton being in place, Isaiah Jackson now being somebody I'm aware of, big body dude who I'm going to learn a lot more about. Lakers drafted last year, sent straight to Indiana. Another one of those guys. As a result of our terrible play over the last several years, another great player in another situation that isn't ours. Jalen Smith is somebody that I like over there. So even though Indiana's tanking, what you see is a lot of fantastic players. Taylor's over there, Brissett's over there. You know, they just got a lot of stuff there that you don't realize is there. And in doing a deal with the Pacers, just thinking about the Lakers and how they're forcing us to give up the 29th pick, there are ways to relinquish that pick with the Pacers and bring back talent that you're happy with. You just got to know what they got. You know, I'll mess around, take Taylor, Brissett, Jackson. You know what I mean? They got players that I want. Obviously, Halliburton is not off limits, but clearly that's a coveted player in this league. They got stuff you can try to pry from them and feel really happy about if you know what you're doing in your development department. So I like the Pacers, low key. I like their situation based on their flexibility. I did not like that contract as much for them, DeAndre Ayton. I didn't love it, even though I'd have been happy for them, right? Because it's hard for them to get somebody. So that's fine, but the contract itself, just in a nutshell, is not the greatest thing in the world for the Pacers. So this creates more flexibility, and I think they can get lucky too. You know, you talk about teams who can get Victor Wembanyama. They're as good as any, for sure. And I would love to see them be in a position to land a talent like that and pair him up with Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Smith. I think that would be phenomenal for their future. And I think the NBA would be a better place for seeing the Pacers get a championship someday. So it is what it is, man. This is just a few of my thoughts. It's funny because as a Laker fan, you know, we are known for taking everybody's stars and we're known for being self-absorbed fans. But, you know, I'm a different breed, man. I'm a passionate Laker fan without shared allegiance, but I'm also a passionate basketball fan who pays attention to just about everything I can around the league. And as I learn, the more I continue to have a passion and love for what it is that we're doing here. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it going. Hope you guys enjoy this content as much as I'm about to when this phone charges. And that's what I got. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.